Let's talk compost for a little bit. So this compost pile was as tall as this container. This cattle panel is pulled up a little bit. I'm gonna leave this pile right here, and I'm gonna start a new pile over here, and for two very important reasons. Hey, I'm Justin Hitt from Prosperity Homestead. Look at all of the carbon and grass and biomass that I have to turn into to compost. Now, I had charcoal earlier that I was putting into this, and I to be honest, I haven't started my bed here because we've been working at another location, and I took down the fence, so I don't have the fence up to protect from deer. But I got a backlog of organic material for compost. So what I'm going to end up doing is making another ring. I'll leave this pile the way it is. I'll make another ring, and then I will start this other compost next to the first one. And we've got oregano growing and some things that the deer don't like, but I need to start getting all of these leaves up out of here and all the grass out of here and use it when it has the maximum nutritional value. So grass is a nitrogen, and when it dries out, it loses the nitrogen. And there are other things in there, like the neighbors bring over their raked up bird seed and leaves and other materials. So what I'm going to end up doing is stacking some brush on the ground here. Then I'll put that ring next to this area. I'll fill it up to the top, layering each layer, adding water so everything's moist and soaked down. And then when it shrinks in size, where that pile is right now, I'll put the empty ring, and then I'll take both of these piles and flip them into that empty ring after I clean some of the tree up. Now again, composting is one of the most valuable ways to turn organic biomass into nutritious soil or soil supplements. So grass clippings, leaves, small branches, anything you've got can go into the compost. I know a lot of folks say you can only put certain things in the compost, but any organic material, organic waste can go into compost. I've wrote a book, how to make homestead scale compost, and it's available if you write our office at www.prosperityhomestead.org. But essentially what we're going to be doing is building out as many piles as we can and get them as compost as we can, because the materials just sitting here in a pile don't break down fast enough. And so we want to build piles, we want to have moist piles, and then we want to turn those piles into final piles so that we can take the leaf mold, the slightly finished material. Actually, see, this kind of material, if it's had 3 heat cycles, that's enough to put back on the gardens. And again, this is our grass-fed garden. I have not put any vegetables in it, and it is being abused by deer. I'm kind of giving it some time to rest, because I got another garden at another location that we're going full bore with, that's got plenty of vegetables and such. But again, you can see that nothing's really coming up. The onions even got eaten by the deer. All the flowers got eaten by the deer. So while I'm getting around to get the fence up, I'll get as much compost finished as possible. I'll continue to mound branches and such to make more charcoal. The charcoal then goes into the compost so that it becomes biologically active in the process of composting, and then we can spread it out on these beds as we go. Now again, with the grass-fed beds, a lot of people are saying, hey, are you getting weeds? We do get weeds sometimes. So this is actually a type of grass, and it's a ornamental grass that's in a lot of residential neighborhoods. But yeah, so it's here. So I picked that out. I can throw it in look at this, I can throw it on the bed, or I can throw it in the compost pile. Doesn't really matter. It's got a compost in place either way, and start building and replenishing the soil. Now, some people have asked, can they, because they say they get snails and slugs and stuff like that because their climate is more wet, can I rake off all of this mulch and then compost it and put it back on? I certainly could. Seems like a lot of work, but yeah, you can do that. And then these herbs and things that are growing in the paths, should they be growing on the beds? Probably, but they want to grow on the path, so I let them grow on the path. And by the way, this is even, I think this is ginkgo. I think this is even edible. It's peppery, it's good. I put it in tea. But long story short, You can see the deer are really destroying the beds. They walk over the beds. They kick open some of the mulch and stuff that's on the surface. They will eat just about everything. You can see they're eating this kind of stuff. So we're still going to make the best of it by using the space to compost and consolidate some of the compost piles that are in other places, and ultimately end up with rich, nutrient-dense soil that can go out on top of the garden beds as we progress or get fences back up. I'm Justin Hitt from Prosperity Homestead. Be sure to ask your questions in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.